Going forward, we must continue to prepare for our greater needs in the long term by working on two fronts: spending prudently and effectively, and growing our revenues fairly and sustainably. With higher spending needs, it's ever more critical for us to ensure that we spend within our means to get the outcomes we want, as Mr. Vikram Nair noted. Now, at the ministry level, we have designed our funding policies to drive agencies to operate efficiently and effectively. Today, we budget for ongoing functions using a block budget framework, where ministries are provided with budget caps for a medium-term period. Within the cap, each ministry decides how best to allocate its budget. This approach encourages ministry to strive for cost effectiveness because every dollar optimized means more resources available for worthwhile programs. This year, we sought to further reinforce the importance of spending prudently and effectively by applying a permanent 2% downward adjustment to the budget caps of all ministries and organs of state. This will free up resources that MOF can redeploy towards higher priority requirements and projects that deliver value to citizens and businesses, such as initiatives by the Municipal Services Office. And within the adjusted budget caps, agencies will decide how to prioritize their programs and projects and review how they can achieve greater efficiency. And fundamentally, we want to imbue these values of prudence and innovation in all officers in the public service, to always seek value for money and constantly strive to improve and innovate so that we can do more and do better with less. Now, at the project level, we are tightening scrutiny of major infrastructure projects to ensure robustness of its business case and value for money. We have a process today that puts large infrastructure projects, those more than $500 million, or those that are highly complex in nature, through a series of review before funding is approved. This process taps on a panel of senior public officers and industry practitioners, those with deep technical expertise and experience in major infrastructure development, with the aim of optimizing the project's overall design, use of space, and cost effectiveness. Then finally, at the program level, we are designing our schemes so that subsidies are targeted at the right groups. As a general principle, we price services to recover full costs and discourage overconsumption. We then target subsidies appropriately to those in need, such as through GST vouchers, SNCC rebates, and public transport vouchers. Now, this is more progressive than underpricing services, which implicitly subsidizes all groups, including the rich. Ms. Sylvia Lim asked whether we evaluate programs, and I think on the economic program, Minister Iswaran gave a detailed explanation yesterday about how the agencies evaluate those programs and have to adapt and change it where necessary. And she raised the issue of the PIC. The PIC, in fact, has largely achieved its objective, but she raised examples of abuses to make the case. Now, this is mistaken. In fact, the fact that those abuses are uncovered is because of extensive audits that are done by the agencies. And in fact, we should commend the officers for the seriousness in which they undertake. And in many other countries, those abuses will not even be known. And so the schemes were done in a way that is broad-based and reaches the right groups of people. The alternative, of course, is to have every detail scrutinized and approved before the businesses have used it. And in fact, in many of the budget dialogues that we have with businesses, their concern was if you have too many schemes that are just based on approval, things will not move. So in fact, it is a delicate balance and a good balance which the agencies should be commended for. Now, besides spending prudently and effectively, we'll have to grow revenues through new taxes or raising tax rates over time. This challenge of raising revenues for growing needs is not unique to Singapore. If you look at many other countries, the need for more revenues to meet spending needs is a common theme that cuts across different systems. For example, Hong Kong had announced at its recent budget that it will be setting up a tax policy unit to comprehensively review its tax system. One of the objectives would be, and I quote, explore broadening the tax base and increasing revenue so as to ensure adequate resources are available to support sustainable development. Mr. Saktiandi Supat and Mr. Yi Chia Sing have asked about how we intend to review our own tax system. I would like to assure them that we will ensure that our tax system continues to be both fair and sustainable. First, our tax system must be fair and progressive across income groups. What this means is that those who are better off must contribute more. In recent budgets, we have continued to make our personal income tax and property tax rates more progressive, even as we introduce or enhance permanent schemes such as silver support and workfare to provide more support to low-income groups. Second, a sustainable tax system is fundamentally one that rewards efforts by individuals and enterprise by our companies. As Ms. Fumiha pointed out, the only way to sustain a healthy revenue stream is to have a healthy and growing economy. In more recent years, more countries have lowered or announced their intention to lower corporate income tax rates. The UK has lowered its corporate tax rates from 30% to 20% over the last 10 years and plans to further lower it to 17% by 2020. The new administration in the US has also indicated plans to cut corporate tax rates. Now, we must ensure that Singapore continues to be an attractive place to work and do business so that we have a thriving and vibrant economy. Third, sustainability is about striking the right balance between current and future generations. We have spent prudently, built up our reserves, and tapped on their returns judiciously. Mr. Lim suggested using the proceeds of land sales. Now, the proceeds of land sales go into past reserves, and it is because of this prudence that we are able to build up our reserves, and we are now drawing a part of its return for expenditure. So we must stay disciplined and prudent in spending our reserves, in spending the returns of our reserves, so that they remain a stable and sustainable source of revenue over the long term. Now, any decision to raise taxes will not be taken lightly. We will study all options carefully. While our finances today are sound, we must start planning early. This is the right and responsible way, rather than leave problems to be dealt with by future governments when Singapore comes under fiscal strain. Planning for future needs now will allow us to better ease in the needed measures to give our people and businesses some time to adjust. We must plan for the long term, not 5 years, not 10 years, but big ambitious plans for decades ahead. Like the new airport, new towns, each with distinctive features to attract families, new MRT lines. We are in a good position today because we have planned early and invested in the long term. This ability to plan and invest for the long term is a key strategic advantage. So we must ensure that we continue to have this capacity to invest in critical programs and infrastructure with long-term benefits in a way that is equitable to both current and future generations.